Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Card Talk, a podcast where we spend just a little bit of time talking about cards from Lord of the Rings, the card game. I'm your host, Dave Walsh.
And I'm Grant Thompson, just along for the ride.
And I'm Ted Bannock, and this is my favorite episode.
Because there's a lady in it, right?
Yeah, we're going to be talking about a lady. Very special lady.
I've got a feeling, please stop with the puns.
Never.
Ted's a ladies' man. That was a cheesy late 90s movie.
It's gonna be it's gonna be a good time. You know, we got ladies and we got favors and
okay, now we're okay. So before we get talking and all that, let's talk a little bit about how you can stay connected with us here at Card Talk. We do have the pod, which you're listening to now. We have this on video over on YouTube. So if you want to see the cards that we're talking about, or see Ted's amazing face or Grant's amazing face, which you hardly ever get a chance to see Grant live, but believe it or not, there he is. That's him. That's the man right there. And then you can do that on our YouTube channel. And also on our YouTube channel, we have Micah doing Second Breakfast, which is a live playthrough series. It's not live. Maybe it will be by the time this airs, but he usually records and then posts, and then people follow along. He has deck building restrictions and all sorts of neat things, which maybe this card falls into that. I don't know. And then, of course, we saved the best for last. Cat Attack 22, Matt over at the blog is doing yeoman's work, and every card that we review here in the pod, he reviews on the blog. So he's got his work cut out for us. But if you prefer to read what you partake in Card Talk, Matt has his own unique cards. He has, or his not own unique cards, his own unique take on all the cards, and so he may see things that we don't and uses that we don't. So it's always good to do that. And lastly, this year we're putting together some swag for all our amazing patrons. So thank you for being a patron, and more details to follow to make sure that everybody who wants to get some swag will have a chance to get some swag. But we're excited to put that out again this year. But that's this business done and over with. Grant, tell us about today's card.
Well, today we are doing another one of our core set cards. This one being the Favor of the Lady. The 2-cost Spirit Attachment, which attaches to a hero. Attached hero gains +1 willpower.
It's not much going on there. So, Grant, what's your gut take on the Favor of the Lady?
The Favor of the Lady is, in my opinion, overcosted. It's the same cost as the Dunedain Quest, which again, in my opinion, is overcosted compared to something like the Calabrian Stone, or which is 2 costs for 2 willpower, or comparing it to something like the Protector of Lorien, which is a 1 cost for 1 willpower or 1 defense, but you have to discard a card from your hand. But even comparing it to some of the cards that are 2 cost, you've got the Visionary Leadership, which is while attached to a Gondor hero. While attached hero has 1 resource in his pool. Each Gondor character gets +1 willpower. There are so many other cards that grant willpower that this one, to me, just doesn't. It seems overcosted for what it does.
Kind of the theme of the core set.
Especially when it comes to willpower. Like, I think this is another case where they came up with a monetary system for willpower, and then realized later that that's, that they were going to modify it. I think, at one point we were talking about a different card that just, the currency for willpower just changed, which then made this card, fall off the planet. It is non-unique, so you get out 3 Dunedain quests and 3 of these things, and then you get +6. So for 12 resources, you have
willpower.
6 willpower.
Okay, and I can just pay 1 resource, get the Arcnum Stone out, and then every one of my unique characters gets +1 willpower.
Right, exactly, and that's the kind of thing that we're
Necklace of Fury and get an additional 2.
right. Even Celeborn, not favor of the lady, but favor of the gentleman. Celeborn hero gives everybody +1 willpower on their first turn into play. So there's it's just interesting how the core set had some real great cards, even in Spirit, Unexpected Courage, Test of Will, Hasty Stroke, core set Eowyn, all kind of staples of the game. And then there's cards like this that ended up being pushed out of the core set because of, the redistribution of how they thought how much things were worth. But Ted, you always have, every card has a place in the card pool, except for the end comes. So tell us what you think about tell us what you think about this and where this thing comes from or goes to.
It is a bit pricey. I really wish it costed 1, to be honest. Then I think it would be phenomenally good. It sort of got overshadowed, if you have a larger card pool, by Silver Circlet.
Right.
Which is a 2-cost spirit attachment that's restricted, but it gives you +2 willpower.
Right.
Yeah, but it's also restricted to spirit heroes, don't forget.
That too, where this is broader and gets attached to any hero. So it's good on a few heroes who need to boost their willpower that usually have an effect based on their willpower. The one that comes to mind is Spirit Aragorn, because his ability is to you exhaust him and you reduce a location's threat by Aragorn's willpower. So this is sort of another card that can, you have access to that does that, along with Silver Circlet and a few other cards. It can also be good in a couple of scenarios where having, you want to build your willpower, and the most common way to do that is allies, right? You play more allies on the board, but some scenarios are particularly punishing for having multiple allies, right? You have to take more damage or you raise your threat. So this is a good way to sort of mitigate that by boosting your existing hero's willpower, as opposed to adding more allies to the board in those scenarios.
Right, like Strider decks, where you 2 heroes and 5 characters. Or I even thought about this with the Council of the Wise deck, where you have 1 of every card, and so this gives you another option to put someplace, because you just run out of attachments that are willpower boosts, depending on what sphere you're in and things like that. And so it's not a particularly special attachment, and it's it is a condition attachment. I don't know if, so I guess you can remove it with Elrond Ally if you wanted to.
Called Little Grief.
Yeah. But I don't know, I think that this is one of those cards that just completely fell out of favor because of, overcosted, and it's just something that's not used. For 2 willpower, I can get an Unexpected Courage out, and I can use that willpower I could just, I could just reuse the whole hero as opposed to just boosting it by 1. So,
the only reason I'd put this in a deck is if I was going to pitch it to Eowyn to get the +1, then go over and tomb it to bring it back in your hand to pitch again.
Not wrong.
Yeah, that's not the.
There's a 2 cost for 2 willpower instead of 2 cost for 1.
Another 2 kind of useful scenario. There's a couple of scenarios that will punish your heroes for having low willpower, or you need a certain willpower threshold to do something. The ones that come to mind are Redhorn Gate, where if you have a character at 0 willpower, they're killed. They're just dead on the third stage.
See you later. Goodbye.
So this you can pay 2 resources and have a hero be not dead. So that's good. The other effect I'm thinking of is in the campaign. There is a version of the Witch King from like the first part, and you have to have
defended
two willpower to defend him.
Right. And there's not a lot of allies that have 2 willpower that are defenders, like Jubair and things like that. Like
So and in that scenario or scenarios when you're facing that version of the Witch King, you can't just count on Baragond or Grimbjorn. Like you need to either work those characters' willpower or pick a different character that starts with 1, and then you can more easily get it up to 2.
Right.
So there's some scenarios where willpower boosting is good, and this just if you need multiple ways to do that, this is just one of them.
Right. Yep. Like I don't think that this is going to go into a Burglar's Turn deck. I don't think that this is going to go into like I'm thinking of all the different. So
it's not even an item though, right? It's a condition, I think.
Oh yeah, it's an item. Yeah, it's not an item, right? And it's not going to go into a 300s deck because it's not restricted. There's just all sorts of things that this doesn't have. And again, this is a core set, so there's a lot of things that were developed that this just wasn't around for. But you know what I am around for is this art. Some of the best art in the core set, and of course it's Magali Villeneuve. Amazing art all the time, and what I love about it again is that this is not like typical fantasy art, over sexualized, big boobs, low cut. Like this is just Galadriel staring you down with piercing eyes and just beautiful. Like this is the art that this game is known for.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah, it's good.
Okay.
It's nice to look at.
Yeah, it is very, very good. So, should we ring this Favor of the Lady?
Yeah, we'll ring it up, I suppose.
Yeah, maybe one of the shortest episodes we've done in the modern era of Card Talk.
I mean, it does. It's a stat boost. It's very, very plain.
It's generic,
and it just kind of that's the thing that it does. And there's a handful of times where it's like I said, it's beneficial to boost your hero's willpower as opposed to just playing allies. There's probably a few more scenarios too that I can't think of or recall. But so it's just kind of all there is to it.
Okay, so let's ring this guy or this lady. We'll put a ring on it. If you want to put a ring on. Okay. Anyways, for anybody who doesn't know, or maybe this is your first episode, we have a highly scientific yet arbitrary system where we rank a card on a scale from 1 to 10, where 1 is the one card to rule them all, or one of the best cards in the game, and a 10, which is the card that gets thrown back into the fiery chasm from whence it was made. So, Grant, you're first, buddy.
I'm giving it a 9. I don't use this card. I don't see myself using it anytime soon. And there are very few cases where I would even consider putting it in the deck, Redhorn Gate being one of them.
Yeah. And even then, it doesn't have to make it into the deck. Ted?
Exactly. There's other options.
Yeah, it's going to be down there. It's going to be like a 7 because it's
virtually unusable on the Bannock scale of cards.
Yeah, like I said, it's got a few places where it's helpful, but there's a lot of other ways to usually boost your willpower or play a hero that has stronger willpower, like Awen, to just sort of naturally be there if that's what you're trying to do.
Just play an ally that's got more willpower. Play
Right,
a 2-cost ally that's got 2 willpower, and you've already
and
won.
then generally, the ally will have it'll have an ability,
Right.
or it'll have extra stats, and you get the flexibility of not having to. But there's some cases where you're like, oh, okay, no, I need my hero to have this willpower to make this quest easier.
Yeah. Well, despite all of that, Ted, I agree with what you're saying, but it's still not a compelling enough argument to let me give this more than a 9. The Dunedain quest is, because I'm running leadership. Here's the thing, Spirit is filled with cards that are just cards that I want and need in a deck. Playing solo, the space that I need in a deck for Spirit is usually taken up by Test of Wills, Unexpected Courages, Hasty Strokes, Shadow Cancellation. I can't waste the space on this card. And so if I'm going to do it, it's going to be a leadership version. It's going to be the Dunedain quest, and even then it's only rarely that ever happens. So this is a 9. Hardly playable in my book. This is a classic case in my opinion of where the core set just quickly outgrew a card, and that's okay.
Yeah, it's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Ted, I've got a serious question to ask you. You rated Favor of the Lady a 7, yet you rated Longbeard Orcslayer as an 8. So you find that you can use Favor of the Lady more effectively than you will use Longbeard Orcslayer.
Yes.
For consistency, yes.
It's hard, I know, right? Because allies are so, it's it could be a crappier ally than an attachment. Attachments are different. I don't know.
Well, it's Favor of the Lady is at least kind of affordable, and Longbeard Orcslayer is really overpriced for what he does.
Yeah. I don't know. Anyways, everybody, join us again next week as we take on another card from the core set. We are just about wrapping up this journey, and it's pretty exciting. So stick with us, and we'll see you again next week. Have a great day, everybody.
Do you love the content? Here's what you can do to stay connected. Become a patron. The money collected through Patreon goes into keeping the lights on here at the podcast. We love our patrons, and you can join at many different levels. Visit patreon.com/cardtalk2018. You can subscribe to us, whether you're watching our YouTube channel or you're listening to us in your favorite podcatcher. Hit the subscribe button to get notifications of all our new episodes. Didn't know we were an audio podcast? Find us by searching Card Talk to get access to our 120 plus regular episodes. Didn't know we were a video channel? Find us by searching Card Talk LOTR LCG on YouTube, and there you can find not only our regular episodes, but you can find our bonus playthroughs and other content related to the game. Want to get a hold of Ted, Grant, or myself? Feel free to email the podcast at cardtalk2018@gmail.com.